Hello, everybody. This is Grace and Persia. We're here to talk in a short talk about the practice of in what they call yoga Ishteva, or having a personal deity or a personal guru, and developing a personal relationship to that being to guide and support your spiritual efforts. Um, the reason we do that, and the reason we select an image or it could be a statue of a divine being, and obviously in Buddhism, it's a picture of or a statue of the Buddha. In yoga, it's different deities: Shiva, Krishna. There's Yogananda, and there's Amma. So your reason for doing this practice is to develop that personal connection you have to a being that represents the divine light, the divine union, or the divine love that is everything. So it's taking the cosmic, infinite, formless God, and it's bringing it to a form where we can connect to having a personal relationship. And this is Christianity, which is Jesus. Having a personal relationship with Jesus helps us and guides us on our path. So that's
The purpose of the practice is because we don't yet necessarily know how to have an active feeling internally with the light of the divine. And if we don't yet feel a complete communion with the divine, which is what we're working towards, we want to build that. And the way to build that is to start out with a daily practice, to start creating that relationship and opening ourselves and having a beginner's mind and creating a very personal, loving feeling. And because people don't usually know how to completely merge with the infinite formlessness, they pick a form to begin that practice, so that over time you build that connection.
So for example, in yoga, if you already have a yoga practice where you're doing the asanas, you would add a deity to your asana practice, and you would then meditate with the deity, focusing on Krishna or maybe Shiva, and asking them for guidance, asking them for protection, and essentially you're opening up a conversation with that deity. And they are there, they are present, they're real. We've seen these beings, and they do help their devotees make spiritual progress. In the Paco Andino tradition in Peru, their deities are really the mountain spirits. So if you've ever seen a movie or seen those Pacos walking around, they're constantly praying with the mountain spirits, asking for protection, asking for guidance, asking for help. They're calling on the mountain deities for everything, because those deities, those mountain spirits, are supporting their practice. And so that's what we have to start doing for ourselves. When I first saw the movie Paco Andino, and Persia introduced me to that lineage, I was very inspired by their prayers and their devotion to the mountains, because it's very, very devotional.
It's sweet, it's emotional, it's personal. It is, they let their exalted love and they let it unleashed. They have this like open childlike beginner's mind of like, these mountains are our divine father, and
our divine family,
and they have the divine mother and the Pachamama and the other nature elements that they unleash and open their heart deeply. Like, you want your prayer to have some juice to it.
Mm-hmm.
And you want the divine to feel your call. So the practice is to completely unleash our love the way that a child loves its parent.
Open the heart and just express whatever it is you're expressing, the joy, the love, the grief, whatever might be coming out. But you see that picture of either the teacher or the statue of the deity, and you're really just pouring your heart out to that being, asking them for the guidance, asking them for the protection, asking them for the insight that you are working towards to be able to heal spiritually and move yourself forward. Because obviously everything we're doing with you guys is about looking at these traumas or looking at something that's stuck in us, so that we can transmute that and move forward spiritually. So So really, if you have something you're working on that's a trauma or inner child stuff or some pattern or something that you're trying to spiritually release, talk to them about that. Ask them to help you see it, help you recognize it, and then help you transform it. And if you pour out your devotion and love, those beings will respond. They will show up in a dream. They will show up in a vision. They will show up. You might put a Shiva picture, and then you might be wandering around and start seeing his picture everywhere, because that's kind of how they communicate with us. You start reading life.
You start getting knowings and clarity kind of comes through you, even in very beautiful ways. The divine answers your call, and the divine's interest is in us knowing our true nature as one with the love of the and light of the divine. So it's eagerly waiting for us to call out and to give permission for the divine to help us transform what's stopping us from actually seeing the clarity that we already have, this beautiful, loving light inside of us. But these practices are step by step in the journey to help us get to that end goal that takes a lot of time and commitment.
So develop a personal relationship with a great teacher, the Buddha, Yogananda, or a great deity, Christ, Krishna, Shiva, or even the Divine Mother. There's lots of different Divine Mother deities. Pick one and build an altar, put up a picture, put a picture in your car, and start to talk and pray to them and ask them for guidance and help and support, knowing that they're going to respond to you, knowing that they're going to answer your prayers.
But don't just ask, you can ask them to just fix stuff, but don't just stay there like, please fix these problems for me. Ask them, what do I need to transform to align myself with the resolution of the difficulty that I'm going through? What do I need to transform inside myself to bring in and align myself with what's the love that's actually true, so it can be manifest inside myself, and then the lesson will be learned and completed, and then the life outside of you rearranges around that new wisdom.
So that's probably the most important aspect of what we're talking about, is that knowing how to ask the right question. You can obviously petition the great gurus and the teachers and the deities to help you overcome certain challenges. But more importantly is to ask them the correct questions about how you take personal responsibility for what is happening with that challenge, why that challenge is presenting itself.
What's it teaching you? What do
you need to look at?
Need to surrender?
That's right.
And just continue to take refuge to ask for guidance on how to surrender. If you don't know what to surrender.
That's right. Even if you don't know, you can ask them, what do I need to surrender? What do I need to see to be able to overcome this challenge? And they will help you see it.
Yeah. Do you have any examples that you've experienced doing that on the path?
So many examples.
I know.
And we'll save that for another video.
I'll share one little quick one since we have a minute left. When I first took my first trip to Peru in 2006, I was just arrived and I was traveling on the bus high in the Andes Mountains. Maybe it was the altitude. You could blame it on that if you want to. But I was talking with this other woman, and we were having this really loving, deep conversation. And we were sharing things about our family and our upbringing. And I had this sudden, download of information and insight come to me that even with all the craziness in my family and the problems and imperfections, that every single individual in my family was on a journey that was exactly what they needed, and that I could honor and love their journey and have complete acceptance for it. And it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I started sharing it with this woman, and we were both kind of weeping. And I shared with her that there's this word in Sanskrit while we were both crying with inspiration, and because it was such a beautiful download. And I said, there's this word that means tears of divine love. And I feel like that's what we're crying right now, this just surrender and recognition of how much love the journey is for each individual, no matter what is going on in their lives. And then in that exact moment, the tour guide had not said a word, and he stood up and picked up the microphone over the bus loudspeaker, and he said, "This mountain right here is the protector of the sacred valley, Waka Wilka." And Waka Wilka means tears of divine love. And I knew that the mountain had claimed me in that moment, and I knew that it had given me a download, and that mountain spirit was very alive. And so you have to recognize that when you're praying to a form to get to the formless eventually, that form is very alive, very aware of your consciousness, very aware of your sincerity. So pour it out and be sincere.
All right. Thank you, guys. Hope this inspires.
Lots
Bye-bye.
of love.